Warm greetings, everyone. I'm Anubhuti Shekhar, the City President for Devghar District, Jharkhand of Wiki Water Resource Council. I welcome you to today's session of Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water. This session is conducted by Eco Development and Research Cell, a not-for-profit initiative of the Environmental Design Consultants Ahmedabad with support of Water Resource Council of the Women Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Wiki WRC, and in collaboration with W4W Foundation and our media partner Counterview. I am joined today with Dr. Mansi Bal Bhargava, who is the National President of Wiki Water Resource Council. Welcome, Mansi. We are glad to start the conversation, namely Monday Munching, Musing with Women for Water, which we colloquially refer to as Blue Lips. Among us, we are aimed to share the worries and the wisdom by the women, for the women, of the women in the water sector. In here, we hope to learn about the water endeavours in a regular, disciplined manner like a masterclass. Today, in this session, we are here to listen and know more about Dr. Amrita Dhiman. Professor Amrita is a faculty member at the Development Management Institute with a cumulative experience of 15 years working in industry, government administration, and now in academics. She has been a Prime Minister's Rural Development Fellow and a postgraduate in Agribusiness Management from Vamnicom, Pune, with an undergrad study in agriculture at GB Pant University of Agriculture, Technology, Pantnagar. She is a recipient of the Chancellor Gold Medal and Gold Medal as topper of the batch at her UG and PG studies, respectively. Her research articles have been published in Invest and AM, Harvest and AM, The Finapolis, The Hindu Business Line, EPW, and much more. She played a crucial role in establishing the co-ed at the DMI and is now the coordinator of the center. She is actively engaged in research, capacity building, consultancy, and education activities related to agriculture, marketing, small agribusiness, and disaster risk reduction and AMP management. Welcome, Amrita. We are happy to have you here. I would like to start by knowing, how did you start your water journey? How did you decide to step into the water sector? How are you currently involved in water sector?
Okay, first of all, greetings and good evening to all the women and others present here. And thank you so much to Mansi ma'am for making me a part of this wonderful initiative. And thank you so much to you, Anubhuti, for this grand introduction. Thank you so much. Just a small correction that I'm not yet a PhD. I'm pursuing my PhD. So I'm Professor Amrita Dhiman, but not yet Dr. Amrita Dhiman. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I can't tell you like how much I've been looking forward to this interaction because I got inducted into this family of Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, especially the Water Resources Council. But the opportunity to meet is happening today, so I'm really, really glad. Talking about myself, because I'm an agriculture student, definitely water is the core of the agriculture. So when you we have been also emphasizing about more crop per drop and things like that, the policy statements that have been coming in India. So whatever you talk about agriculture, water is definitely the core. Though I belong to state of Bihar, where water is not as scarce, but definitely when we talk about the uses of water, there is a lot of issues. And at the same time, when we talk about agriculture, water is critical. Bihar is a state, because I'm also working in disaster domain, water also causes havoc here. So I've been associated now with the Center of Excellence in Disaster Management at the Development Management Institute, which is a new initiative. And we are trying to work for disaster risk reduction, especially in the state of Bihar, where flood is a disaster which is recurring and causing so much loss of life and property in the state. So that's how my kind of water journey has got a little shift, where I'm also integrating the component of climate change, and then talking about water issues, water for life, and then water also, so that these disasters which are there, we can reduce the risk for the people, and then ultimately benefit the society, the community, the people around us, and most importantly, women. Because as I was mentioning about floods, like just 2 days back, I did a stakeholder consultation on women access to information and services in the disaster management cycle. So, you know, uh, invariably it is the women who has to face the wrath of the water havoc, the floods also. So their life gets affected in a way which is very different from the other genders as such, because there are societal norms also that come into play. Like when we talk about disaster, we talk about hazard, the exposure, and the vulnerability. So vulnerability component is always high for women. So their life, their relationships, their livelihoods are always at high risk when we talk about the floods. Like women are supposed to be invariably the one who should have the responsibility of taking care of the child and the household. So, and when disasters happen, like floods, water enter the houses in the villages, women find it really, really difficult to leave those things, because there is so much of set norms through which they have been acting. So comparatively, men are rescued, but the women, rescuing the women is another challenge. So this is something we have been trying to do, one in the field of agriculture, like how we can increase the water efficiency, and then second in the field of disaster, like how we can reduce the risk due to various kinds of disaster, especially like focused on floods. Uh, that's, and all that is being centered around women mostly.
Right, thank you. Would you also like to tell us about how did you decide particularly that you wanted to work in the agriculture field or do something for the environment sector? Was there
Oh,
any difficulties also, like if you could mention if you face any difficulties in pursuing this stream, because mostly at that point of time there must not be a lot of opportunities like engineering field or doctor field. So were there any difficulties to convince your family or people around you to step into this sector, and how did you manage that?
yeah, thank you for that question. It takes you back to 2001, and so yeah, like after I completed my 12th, definitely this question was there: what is the area that you want to pursue? And Bihar is a state where still, if you're a girl, you have to pursue medical, and if you're a boy, engineering option is there. So my story is a bit different. I was a student who was exceptionally good in maths, and I really wanted to pursue engineering. But then somehow it didn't matter. I never appeared for an engineering exam. I was always a 90 plus marks holder in my 12th exams of maths. So, but then I ended up knowing about ICR, Indian College of Agricultural Research, and this was really interesting to me. I became more curious what it does and all that. So I started exploring on my own about ICAR, and that's how I came to know about the ICAR exam that used to happen. So annual exam, one national level exam through which you can get admission to all the agriculture universities across the country. So I remember I appeared for that exam and I got good ranking. I remember I got 155 rank, and then I had this option that my parents were, of course, definitely initially like averse, that what will you do in the field of agriculture? Are you are not going to be there in the field in the sun and toiling the fields. So this is of no use for a girl. You should not be going there. But then I somehow convinced them. Thankfully, they agreed. And then I was there in Delhi for this counseling. So I remember my father had a known person who was working in agriculture domain. So I was asked to consult him. So I consulted him, and he was telling ki kya hi karoge beta. So this is not really a field for a girl. But then I also like countered that no, I want to do something about for the country. For food is at the core of human life. If we have nothing to eat, drink, so how will we are going to survive? So that is really interesting to me. So then I had this option that which college you want to go. So I remember I was very much interested in going to Southern state. Somehow I had heard a lot about them. But then again, no, 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 you can't go to another state where language is a barrier and you are a girl going all alone. So then based on my ranking, thankfully I got Pantnagar, Govind Vallabh Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, which is in Uttarakhand. And that was the university was definitely the top ranked in the country in the field of agriculture. And I had my start in Panagar 2002 to 2006 onwards. And I really, really had a great learning. Like just one thing that I want to mention about the agriculture in Panagar, we have to go through 1 year practical crop production, which we call PCP. And even girls are given 1 hectare of land in a group of eight girls, 1 hectare of land, and you have to really cultivate the crop, one kharif crop, one rabi crop on the field. And it was really a transformative experience, I would say. You work in the sun, scorching sun, you are covered, but that doesn't help at all. When I remember when after summer break we were there at our homes, our people were saying, "Oh, is it the same girl we had sent there?" But yeah, the one experience when you see your crop, swaying in the field, it really makes you feel proud, and you realize how a farmer would feel, when he would be growing, cultivating the crop, and then ultimately seeing the harvest that is ready for cut. So that's about my agriculture journey. Definitely, it was not easy. And even after agriculture, you do most of the job opportunities which are there are hardcore, like in the field job and like that. So, and those days, still we have a stigma attached to women. Those days it was more like who'll marry you if you are in a field job and things like that were there, which I also faced. But yeah, thankfully I remained in the field. I am core to the my domain of agriculture, and have been able to work for last 15 years. Thank you.
Right. So I was just about to ask you, how did you find time to balance work and life? And were there any issue like you had to compromise your personal or professional in any of the fields? You had to compromise anything?
Yeah, I would again say that is also a very tough question for being a woman. Like we have to carry the dual responsibilities of, you have to take care of the house also. It is considered the whole and sole responsibility of the lady of the house. At the same time, you have to perform so well in your professional life, where still, parity is just not there. The same work a woman does, the same work a man does, somewhere the reward is higher for men than for women. And when it comes to child, I also face this. I have a baby girl, and I remember once she just had fallen, something was there, and then I face that it is a responsibility of the mother if something happens to the child. The father has no responsibility at all. So it is definitely very, very challenging when you are, one person who want to contribute also with different aspects to your research, consultancy, training, and at the same time you have to take care of a family. So unless and until you have a support system, it's really, really difficult. Like I often say this, and thankfully my mother has been there for me. I don't know if 20 years down the line my daughter would need the support. I would be able to do that for her or not. But this is a really, really tough question for a woman balancing the personal and professional life. But however, they do well. Like I've also tried to do my best. But yeah, you have to face setbacks. You have to face many situations, which like I also faced at my work life. A very unwanted situation. These are really, really tough things to balance the personal and professional life. But thankfully, we have this multitasking ability, which others do not appreciate, but we know internally that we have this, good thing, and sometimes that also becomes like our aid. That's how we are able to manage. So that's how I survived. Definitely, the support of my mother is very, very crucial for me. That's how I've been able to survive. Otherwise, I would not have imagined that I would have been here interacting today without her support.
Right. Thank you so much, Amrita, ma'am. Just one more thing, like you mentioned about Bihar, and I have seen, like when I was doing my master's, there were a lot of times when I was writing or doing some sort of small research. Also, my professors would go like, there are already so much of study that has already been done on Bihar. Why do you want to take this particular state for the water study? But because I wanted to do something, even for a small portion of area, I wanted to explore. That's why I took it. And I was working with Mansi ma'am also for one of the projects. So there I was looking at one of the region, Gaya. So there water scarcity is there, and already as reports have shown that there is a project going on. So I just wanted to know if you have worked in the state of Bihar in person, like in ground. How was your experience in Bihar? Like, because I was talking to some of the officials there who were working. So they were coming from South India, and they were saying that there are because they were from South, the whole system in the South worked totally different from what it did in Bihar. So have you got an opportunity to work with the people in Bihar? How was your experience? So just
Yeah, like I've done quite a few of research work wherein I've been traveling a lot in Bihar. Like recently, I did another agriculture project, which was about evaluation of the Agriculture Technology Management Agency in Bihar. And I traveled extensively. So people of Bihar are really, really supportive, I would say, and welcoming. Though there are challenges in terms of when you travel to the field, still there are villages where roads are not there, connectivity issues are there, stay arrangements are not proper. Even many places you find difficult to find a good toilet, where one can go and relieve herself. So those challenges are there. But otherwise, thankfully, starting from my Prime Minister's Rural Development Fellow journey, I've been working with the government also, and they have been supportive and have been getting the support. The only problem is definitely in terms of women-friendly infrastructure, which should be there, and is still lacuna if I talk about working in Bihar. Otherwise, it's considered a live laboratory where a lot of organizations are willing to work, and it's an agrarian state, so presents another opportunity, especially to work in the domain of water, where it is so much critical to the lives of individuals and the people here. So that's all about. Other than that, it has been a really good experience working in here.
right. Like when I was working on my research paper, when I was talking to the forest management, then they were telling something different. The people were telling. So I just noticed that there was a
Oh,
lot of communication gap between the people and the government officials. So otherwise, thank you so much. I would like to hand it over to Mansi ma'am to continue the conversation.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Anubhuti. Thank you.
Thank you, Anubhuti. Thanks a lot to initiate this conversation with Amrita. And I was so happily listening to both the girls. And, it's always nice to see how, especially younger generation like Anubhuti, take this aspect very seriously. And of course, learning what you are doing, Amrita. And good to meet you online. I hope that we meet sometime in person also very
Sure.
soon. Till now, we were talking about Amrita as a scholar, as a professional, as a professor for that matter, and how she is juggling with her own life and also doing the professional life and also meeting grassroots people. I would like to take the conversation a little bit further and look at a larger picture or more abstraction level and start talking about women leadership. So because this whole idea of coming together as a platform is actually for partnership towards leadership. How can we handhold each other, and using sisterhood concept, we can really enhance the presence of women in the water sector. And that is only possible when women are recognized as leaders in the field. There may be a lot of women who are working in the water sector, but if they are not in the decision-making side, there is a problem. And I'm sure you know that we have a problem there in the water sector, particularly that there are not many women leaders in the water sector. There are not many decision makers who are women in the water sector. And that makes a huge difference at the last mile, because you rightly mentioned, at the last mile, the women are more vulnerable to water, whether it is sanitation, whether it is disaster. So if there are more women in the boardrooms or in the policy decisions, we at least hope, and we can wish for more changes in the way decisions are made, more changes in the way of fund distribution is done, more changes in the direction of it. In order to do that, we have to really focus on increasing the leadership. How do you really see women leadership really doing in the country? Overall, even in agriculture for that matter, environment, and of course in water, where do you see we are really lacking that, to reach that leadership level? Because education statistics shows that women, literacy is almost now at par between male and females.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I was recently reading a report on workforce involvement, gender aspect. So I remember it is just 27% that the women are there in the workforce. And when you really go anywhere, participate in any event, any discussion that is there, you would mostly see around and feel and experience that you are the only woman present there.
Yes, I think we face that now because we are
Absolutely.
at the forefront, so we face it very often now.
Very often. And with me also it has happened that you are willing to say something, and then people look at you like, young woman, oh, what is it that she has to say? So that also I have personally experienced. However, that doesn't deter me at all. I continue saying
Yes, we
all
have
that.
to move on.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there is a scarcity of women leadership. There are women now, thankfully, because education and this concept that girl child should also be educated. There are girls visible, but when we talk about the decision making roles, it's just not there. And there you can clearly experience patriarchy, how deep it is there in each and every field. And think about an issue like water, which is so much core and concerning women, their lives, the women and the child. So there also I see, I mean, thanks to definitely Vicky, I'm glad that I'm a part of this and really privileged, honored, because I'm hoping to learn a lot. And I hope that, with Vicky, WRC, even I can impact, the 20 council members that I'm searching for, even those two women, if they come forward, women and girls, and get included in this network, I'm sure that would also have a multiplier effect and eventually be beneficial, because there is a dire need for involving women and bringing them into the forefront, especially the decision making roles, and more so also that still, we are talking about decision making, women are not able to voice their concerns. I was talking about
even at the highest meetings. I have attended.
Absolutely.
I recall an my experience even going as an evaluator in European Commission for water projects, where men from our own country would really not appreciate us talking, which is really, really embarrassing, to be honest.
I can understand that. That's true. That happens. Like last year, I was in Bali, and the same thing there. Our own Indian delegation was there, but I had a bit of conflict with them just because this thing was there. They were like, "What is she going to say?" But I think everyone should be given an opportunity, at least to be heard. That also
Absolutely.
becomes questionable sometimes. So there is definitely a need for involving more women and bringing them into the forefront so that they can voice their concern, not just for themselves, for other women, and that could be involved in taken into account into the policy making work that is happening. And I am like seriously looking forward to, eagerly looking forward to Vicky WRC for this, I would say.
Thank you. You raised a very important point. At least let them be heard, you know.
Yeah.
And we are talking about this not only at the vulnerable side or last mile where women are suffering more, but this problem is also existing as we are discussing at the leadership position also. So even if many women who have reached certain position or many women who are there, but when it comes to, coming in a boardroom, if they are not in numbers, that also affects.
Yeah.
Or if there are other reasons. So I'm just trying to understand from your experience, probably, what may be the reasons apart from, let's say, patriarchy, of course, which is deep down even in the woman's throat, by the way, huh?
Yeah,
Whether so
true,
it's also here in us as well. But
So
what
deep.
do you think are the other reasons when we see, as I mentioned, in terms of literacy or education, now beti bachao, beti padhao to chal hi raha hai. But still, professionally, we are lesser in numbers. So if we keep on looking at the pyramid, then leadership, we are still lesser in numbers. So what may be the other reasons for it, in your opinion?
Like I'll share this experience of, I was working in a panchayat in Muzaffarpur. There was this lady, she is a lady and elected as a mukhia in the Gram Panchayat. But when I was there, even I being a lady going there and working, trying to work with her, she was not really the decision maker. Like
She was
it was her
proxy
husband.
leader.
Yeah,
Proxy.
her husband, who was definitely the leader. However, she had a willingness, but then the societal pressure that is there also comes on their way, because somewhere the woman has to live in that society also. She, like, if she would
She
have come
cannot be
just
rebel all the time.
या एग्जैक्टली उसी गांव में रहना है, उसी माहौल में रहना है, तो एक बार वो लेबल लग गया कि आपने यू हैव बिकम अ क्रांतिकारी, तो बहुत दिक्कत हो जाती है। और जो कहीं ना कहीं महिलाओं को ये आभास है, तो ये जो हम बात कर रहे हैं ना, ये आई मीन पता नहीं, ये रेवोल्यूशन की जरूरत है सो दैट ये मेंटालिटी में चेंज कैन हैपन।
mentality may change of men and women both, I think. Women first.
Yeah, I agree
Women first.
completely. Both, yeah, women first, I also agree to that. This also is true. uh, I mean, our society is formed in a beautiful way where the other gender plays a female against a female, and that also becomes a problem, and this I've seen happening in the field. If that lady is going to say, the other ward member ladies are there who will say, no, no, hum aisa kaise kar sakte hain. I have to go and ask. So even if something is concerning them also, they were not really able to take a call. They'll go and consult their husband, then only they'll be coming back. And so I mean, it's not one individual. It has to be a group who can stand, and they can stand for each other. Like you mentioned about sisterhood. This sisterhood is very, very much required. So at least women can change, then the whole society can change. The change that we are envisaging can really happen.
It will
Not just
only
in
happen
words.
when women change, huh? Otherwise, it is never going to happen.
Absolutely, and not just in words, but actions should be, directed
ground,
in
yes,
that direction.
Absolutely. But do you think women are holding back because of the societal pressures कि यहीं रहना है, इन्हीं के साथ बोलना है, or they are doubtful about themselves? I mean, there is a saying that people who do right things are doubtful about themselves, but people who do wrong things are overconfident.
No, I guess women know their potential. I've met several women, even the women from the village, they definitely know their potential, that they can do a lot of things. And given an opportunity, they showcase also their potential.
Yes.
But the opportunity is just not available for them. And there's a lot of pressure. There's so many social norms which are there, which also add on to the vulnerability that a woman has. And it make her more and more vulnerable. So definitely she has the talent, and we have evidence like women have done so much wonderful work, those who have been a
Absolutely.
leader.
It's just that we
So
need to increase that number. That's what we are
yeah,
wanting to talk about. I will still get into the word holding back because that to me is a deep concern because many women, because they are doing too many things, because they have now professional aspirations, they are already carrying the baggage of taking care of this and that. And apart from doing their main work, then do you think seeking leadership from courageous women or uh, very aspirational is an additional work for them, which I personally feel yes, because one thing is to be professional, but another thing is to be leader. I mean, once you are leader, you are not only working for your career, you are working for others' career as well. It's a responsibility. Do you think women are also holding back from that responsibility because they have other many things to do? What is your thought on that?
see, definitely women are overburdened. Like I would quote the example of Jivika Didi's SHG women.
Yes.
Now
Mm.
each and everything is being given to these women. So one side they have to take care of their personal life, the child, family, and the other side there's so many things that
Yeah,
they have
Asha
to,
workers for that
yeah,
matter.
yeah, all them. So they have multiple responsibilities and roles to play. But still, I would say that if they get a sisterhood support, that there is a lady, women leader, and willing to support them, I guess somehow or the other they'll grab onto that. It could be delayed. It could be delayed. It could be a time-taking process. But I think that will have a positive outcome for these women. And
Certainly.
that's all.
And we have good examples in the country. We have movements or these women activities have been led. I mean, I mean, of course, Medha Patkar, Vandana Shiva, Aruna Roy ji are
Exactly.
not focused on women centric, but then they have really given voice to many, many of the families where women have also been at the forefront in their movements as well. And then we also have good examples from all over the country, such as Jal Saheli. We had actually some weeks ago, have had them in our session here to talk about it. But coming from the societal things which women have to really counter and come up, I just keep wondering always that should women come forward and really start just taking, okay, I am going to take responsibility, which is not going to happen overnight, but just thinking about it. But what do you think are the additional skills required for being a good leader in the sector?
Yeah.
As women, what skills they should inherit, what skills they should nurture in themselves. How would they realize that? I mean, of course, many they realize that they have these leadership skills, but then can it be nurtured?
Yeah,
And what will
definitely.
be the skills?
Yeah. See, one very important skill is to be able to communicate, and
Absolutely.
communication with assertiveness. That
Yes.
is, I
You
guess,
put
the
it
four.
very rightly, huh? Communication with confidence has to be there.
Yeah, because I've seen it happening. Like the Jeetka Didis, I'm going again to them. They were initially not knowing anything. So they were taken to Andhra, they learned. And now some of these Didis, the way they are able to communicate, I mean, really, really appreciable. So such skill need to be nurtured in most of all the women. And then second thing, like I said, communication with assertiveness. And the second thing is this sisterhood, something that you said. I
You
really,
have to
really
hold
appreciate that.
hands.
That
Mm.
is very, very important. So these two things I would place them much ahead of any other requirement like education, skills, and all that. But these two things for me are the foremost. Then only the revolution, the transformation that we are envisaging, not at least happening for us, but for the future generation that could happen.
Absolutely.
These are very, very critical.
So if we have to let's say one by one, both we take communication skills where uh, they have to be more conformative or assertive, as you rightly put, or in that case they have to be knowing what they are talking and they have to be with the subject which they would like to stand for, or they have to learn to take a position that this is what
Yeah,
I think is right for
yes.
the society. um, what kind of activities we should be doing as leaders in the field to really tell or nurture many women around us to have that skill, or even just giving them basic, skills or tools which they can utilize on, on their daily projects or activities, or they can nurture their own leadership skills. What kind of activities, and have you been doing some of them, or what are your experiences?
Like, yeah, like recently we are doing a training program for STRF Jawan, and where women are also coming. So, it's a very simple experience that you might have also experienced. When you are interacting with a group, there are men also, there are women also.
Yes.
Invariably, the men, whatever come to their mind, if you encourage them, they'll ask. But the women, I'm sure there will be things coming to their mind, but they just not interact. They have been like बचपन से आपको सिखाया जाता है लड़की हो कम बोलो so
सवाल मत पूछो, वो
हाँ
तो हमारे
सवाल मत
समाज का
पूछो
प्रॉब्लम है।
हाँ और सवाल पूछोगी तो
संविधान
अपने
बोलता
घर
है
में
सवाल पूछो, हम सवाल ही नहीं पूछते।
हाँ तो वो पूछते ही नहीं है they will speak very limited.
Do you think they are preoccupied with lot of things in their head, or they anyway, so we have to nurture that skill.
Yeah, that's very important. And it's not that they have to, there are so many things that is happening in and around also, and they definitely observe. So that also, how to present it and how to communicate that is, I guess, something has to be encouraged among women, girls, that it's very important to speak. So
it's very
and then
important to speak, ask
and
questions,
ask questions.
probably.
Yeah, exactly, ask questions. So when you start doing that, definitely the gradual refinement would come, and you would know how to put forth your views, your remarks. So that, I guess, and definitely education would play a very critical role in that, because education, I say information is knowledge and knowledge is power. So education would play a central role in that communication and assertiveness. That's really, really important. And like whenever I
So
do,
that is basic education, right? But then when we talk about special capacity building or special training, skill training programs and all, what do you think we can do together? I mean, what are you doing? You just mentioned, shared one of your experience. What do you think, what kind of activities we can take up as a platform? Because now that we have over 75 women in the group, and outside the group also, we all have our own mini networks, it's like a beehive.
Like you raised a very valid, like it's like आप किसी strong network के part होते हो तो network से भी आप support derive करते हो. For me,
Yes.
I look at WRC like that. Just being a part of this network makes me feel strong. So the one thing that I think should be done and can be done, especially in the state of Bihar, there are many girls' colleges in Patna also. Like there are good colleges, renowned, and I am not sure if they would also be knowing about Wiki, WRC, the network. So definitely as a first step, these all women colleges could be approached. There could be some orientation awareness activity that could be done with these young girls, and that can also work as again a multiplier effect, which would increase the outreach of Wiki WRC and involve more and more, because this has to be passed to the next generation also. I'm not just thinking for 5 years for myself, but for
that's the
generations
whole
to
idea.
come.
Being leader, we have to think about others and next generation. Sure. Unmute karo.
So that is something I'd be really willing to take it forward under your guidance and leadership, definitely.
That's a very good idea, huh?
Yeah.
Anubhuti, we have to think how do we take it further, huh? Because we have been gathering these kind of ideas and see how we can do it, and what will be the modus of operation there, है ना? So I think it's a very good idea, and maybe we take these conversations further with how we take things there. So it's basically getting young women on board and also telling them the importance of the network, because one may do very good as an individual and in their own career, but we do realize when we come into the mid-career and midlife that how important networks become, because much of the work can be accomplished with a good network rather than good only your own capability, which may take you further. I mean, there's a saying, that you can walk very high alone, but if you want to walk longer, you need a good network or good partners or good, I mean, in our case, we are talking about good sisters. So which is something which we also have to look upon, because at workplace, we do come across situations where many women talk about it's difficult to work as a woman group many times, and that has to also change when we are talking about sisterhood and how we can hold hand of each other and make sure that we are appreciating and acknowledging others and really trying to understand what they want to say, give them time and room to say, I mean, to be heard, as you rightly put. So I just kind of summarized what you were talking about. So what I'm going to do now, give you a little thank and hand it over to Anubhuti, because the next question is related to Anubhuti. Thank you so much, Amrita, and I look forward to learning a lot from you.